Here we go. As everyone here knows, but maybe someone listening doesn't, my name is Linda and I'm 1/3 of Giant's Heart, together with Alice and Svend-Erik. The idea of this video is to give you an idea if you're thinking about whether the masterclasses, whether the Committed Storytellers program might be right for you, then this will hopefully give you an idea of where you stand by people who have done it. I've done several masterclasses myself, and these people amongst themselves have done quite a few. I can't even count how many those are. We're talking about masterclasses because that was the word that Svend-Erik has used, this thing. But what we've done with Giant's Heart is take the concept of masterclasses and just sort of stretch and deepen it a little bit to then create the what we call the Committed Storytellers program of the summer school. So basically 3 weeks immersion into this world. But I'm going to shut up because you didn't come here to listen to me. As a storyteller, it's quite hard to shut up when there's people sort of looking at you. I will do my best. I'm going to ask you, these lovely people, to introduce themselves. Shall we start with Franzi? So my left here. Hi, Franzi. Who are you? Where are you? And where are you as a storyteller?
Hi, I'm Franziska. I am originally from Germany, but I moved here to Scotland and I live now in the beautiful Scottish borders near Peebles. And Linda said, describe yourself as a storyteller in 3 words. Easy. So I'm not sure. I maybe would say a directory, because I'm now on the directory. I would say confident, much more than when I started with the whole storytelling. And I would say up for new challenges all the time. And that was also a reason why I did the masterclass. So yeah, that's me.
Very well done. Amazing. I'm not sure that I said about 3 words, but that's okay. That works. Following directions is not a thing that we do, so that's all right. All right. Jan, you're right below me. Would you like to do the same?
Yes, my name is Jan B. Brown, as you can see from my my screen. I've been storytelling for 3 years professionally, having done the apprenticeship at the Storytelling Centre in Edinburgh. And I live in Edinburgh at the moment. I'm about to move to Shetland, where there will be lots of stories to find out. I didn't know about the 3 words, but let me think.
That's okay, Jan. I didn't know about the 3 words, so that's fine.
You said the 3 words. I was like, oh God.
Long story short, 3 words. Inquisitive, curious, and excited.
I like that. That's very good. And last, but definitely not least, Pertti.
Yeah, I'm Pertti Palo, as you can see. I'm currently in what for people who aren't from Helsinki is Helsinki, which, you know, if you ever lived by a big city and never actually lived in the big city, everybody will think that you're from the big city. That's how it works. As a storyteller, I've kind of started doing things, you might say, more seriously last summer, when I took a masterclass with Neil and Svend, and yeah, the 3 words, surprisingly far along.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
Yeah, I didn't really expect the progress that I've made over the last year.
It's been quite amazing. It's been wonderful to watch.
I used to live in Scotland, and while I lived in Scotland, I went to a bunch of workshops at the Storytelling Centre, and yeah, one of those was by Sven. It was really great, so that's why I ended up with the masterclass last year. And yeah, I'm not professional in this thing. This is my hobby currently, but yeah, it's fun.
I like the currently. There's very clearly an intent there. I like that. Pertti got us started very nicely. I'm going to sit back as much as possible, even though it's hard, and let you three, I can't even count, I need more coffee, too early on a Sunday morning for this kind of, thank you, Pertti, that's very kind. I'm going to let you talk about experience, and Pertti started us very nicely about what drew you to Svend-Erik's masterclasses. Then I would like you to talk about the experience of what it's like and maybe what makes it different, if anything makes it different to other things you may have done and experiences, and then if it has had any effect on you afterwards. Now everyone's going very shy all of a sudden. Franzi, I believe in you. You can. Oh, Jan, there you go. Off you go.
I always put my hand up. I'm such a
you're very polite.
I remember sitting in this cafe at the Storytelling Centre, and my stories are often based on historical fact or actual events. And I was really excited because I was telling a story about how Scotland invaded Norway. And so I thought, well, who to tell this to but Sven? So I sat him down and said, right, can I tell you this story? And give me some pointers. And, I was kind of being all tied up in the research and, what point, who did what? And so I started, and he went, stop. Right, the mermaid. What colour are her eyes? Tell me, how big are her breasts? I mean, are they sagging? And I was like, oh, well, I hadn't thought about that. And that is exactly why I then went on to do more masterclasses with Svend and Alice, both live, and because it's about the truth. It's about the visceral, sensory elements of the stories, which I think, if you're looking at the historical context, bring the story alive.
Mm. Yeah, for me that was very similar. I was actually walking with Linda along the town, and she was saying, "Oh, it's so good to work with Sven because he really pinpoints things and brings things for you alive." And I've heard about this Sven so many times now, not just by Linda, also by others. And then she was saying, "He's doing masterclasses. You should maybe check it out." And I thought that as well when I actually went into the masterclass to just experience how you can pinpoint things that you do unconsciously, like you don't really notice you're doing it, and he's then just really direct and stop. Tell me this. Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing that? Why don't you think a bit farther? And you're like, oh yeah, I could. And it really changes your style, and it changes the way you see things in your inner eye when you tell. So what really stayed with me, what he said is, like when we stay with the mermaid, can you see the mermaid? And tell me exactly what she looks like. So now when I actually tell, I picture everything. And then automatically you say things. Or you don't, and you just like make movements to maybe elaborate it a bit. But you become more alive, even more, which is really good.
Yeah. The workshop that I went to was, don't remember the specific topic, but I think there were 3 teachers, the whole Saturday thing. But Sven's bit was about using less and less of language to tell a story. So we started by telling a story, just vocally, as you usually do. And then you were supposed to use nonsense language, like you usually don't. And then the final version was don't use any vocal output at all, but still tell a story, which is it's fairly mind blowing, to be honest, and fun. And the thing is that my dark background of why am I not a professional storyteller currently is because I tell stories in an academic context. And I've been for quite a long while. I've been a teacher and a researcher, and in teaching, I've done a huge long thing that lasted a year and was supposed to give me better skills at delivering practical exercises and that sort of thing. It was all theory. There's no interaction in the whole thing almost at all. And then I took this 3 Friday mornings workshop with a teacher who became a good friend. And it was all about interaction. There was no theory. Well, there was just this much theory, which was don't give negative feedback. End of theory. And I think I haven't seen too many things with storytelling where people would go too theoretical, but I have seen some. And it just, astonishes me that you can sit at a thing where you're supposed to learn about storytelling and the person is doing a very bad PowerPoint show. This is not a thing that happens with Sven at all.
No, so, it's very real, isn't it? It's very, very alive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so much about the interaction, about blending in with your audience, that sort of engaging them in the storytelling and getting feedback from them while you're doing it, which is so much more important than thinking about big theoretical concepts while you're trying to just get people involved.
Jan, you look like you're having big thoughts or just very confused.
Well, we've talked a lot about Svend, and I think we need to talk about Alice. Because as a duo, they are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Now, I actually contacted them because I had a story I wanted to tell and I wanted their feedback on it. And I had a fantastic collaborative thing where Alice would sit on the sofa whilst I was one-to-one with Svend, and then a couple of days later I would be with Alice one-to-one and Svend would be on the sofa. So they were listening in, and not saying anything, and then they could bring that experience to the one-to-one, which was, well, bang for your buck. It was huge, 2 for one. And they both bring something very different. Alice is absolute consummate professional on actually doing this sort of thing. She's brilliant live, don't get me wrong, but she's really good at the online, on screen. Because you were talking about, Pertti, telling and getting a reaction. It's very difficult, I think, as a storyteller used to telling live and seeing the faces, whether they're asleep or whether they're fidgeting, and where you've got to up the ante or bring in something unusual to wake everybody up. So I do a lot of work with care homes, which is not, I don't usually send people to sleep unless it's in a good context. But anyway, I hope. But back to Alice. Alice is very good about, the nuances and the expressions and what you can bring as an actress, because she's actress trained, coming to storytelling. But whereas Svend is very much more the really getting to the heart of it, getting to that giant's heart.
Mm-hmm. What we're going to be doing with the summer school is that the Committed Storytellers program is led by Svend-Erik, but Alice will be supporting, making appearances, and then the beginners program works the other way around, that is led by Alice, but Svend will be supporting and making appearances, because the whole idea is interaction. That I think we've talked a lot about Svend and now Alice, and I agree, Jan, Alice is the best online storyteller that I've seen in the last year and something. Absolutely incredible. Just, yeah. What about the group? The way it works within the group? Because it's not just learning from the teacher, in my experience. Would you agree?
Yeah. So I've done online workshops and live workshops, and always in a group setting. And for me, both work really, really well. With the live workshop, I always find that the emotions are even more clear, because somebody can not just quickly hide behind a screen or quickly go out of the room. You're like on display all the time. And one thing that really resonated with me from one of the live workshops was we had a wonderful storyteller, and she was so amazing in what she told, but she didn't believe that at the time, and it was so weird to see. And that was pinpointed. And I remember basically her standing, and then she got the task to just go around and look into each and everyone's eye for as long as she needed, and everybody needed to tell her, but without words, just with our eyes, that she was amazing. And we did that, and afterwards there were tears, and not just in her eyes, and it was so emotional. And I really loved that. And that's like something which is wonderful when you have like these live interactions. And in those days you could still hug, which was wonderful as well. But with the online at the same time, later with the group setting, I was quite surprised how well that worked, because I was a bit skeptical, because I'm such a fan of the live experience. But because of all the break rooms we had in the online experience, so we could still go into little groups and do some work, and the teacher would come in and quickly chat to you two just as a unit and go to the next, and you would resonate together. And I thought that worked really well as well. And you learn quite a lot from each and every one, especially with your online setting. What is in your background, and how comfortable do I feel talking to a camera? So yeah, I think both have really good aspects.
The so thing that I've kind of paid attention to is that when there's breakout rooms or peer work or whatever, you never end up with the people that you're expecting, which is good, because the way that I suppose the whole introduction to how we are going to work today goes is in a way that the feedback is going to be constructive. And so, you know, if you are in a random Zoom gathering and there's random people and there's very little said about how you're going to interact, and then you get thrown in with random people, you usually get not that great feedback. You might get interaction which is not that good, but given that we are working on a topic which everybody really likes, and given that the I don't really know how he does it, but that somehow you end up in this frame of mind that I'm going to be useful to that person. I'm going to be useful to that person in a gentle way. And so then the feedback becomes really good, and it becomes a really good thing that you end up with somebody that you weren't familiar with before, which is, you know, it's just magic.
Yeah. And when you are online, like you really get together with, I mean, you're in Helsinki just now, and we're just meeting, having a casual conversation. So
Yep.
it's really nice. So you really get, you have the chance to meet people from all around the world, and not just the usual crowd, which always ends up in Edinburgh. And so you
Yep.
really have much more chances with the online portal opening up.
And I think also because of that, then this idea of telling a story with less words is really important, because you know it is an international genre, obviously, and I think in a way the last year and a half has made us realize how nimble we have to be, and that I think has been really good for some of us, certainly me, because you can't get stuck in a rut. You can't go, well, I just do this and I do it this way. You have to turn on a penny or a euro, a cent. And I think that is one of the reasons that this kind of CPD, continual professional development, is really important, and that it's not just, yeah, I've been in storytelling for 3 years, I know what to do. You don't, because every story is different, every audience is different, online, live, you know, age appropriate.
Sleep.
Absolutely, asleep or awake. Attention spans. You know, I went into a school where I'd been telling virtually on a project, and then this was our chance to tell live with a mask on, of course, and social distancing and windows open. And you know, the attention span of the primary school children was shorter than it would be normally. Now, it can be pretty short normally, but because of the exhaustion, they came into the school tired and discombobulated. And so now at the end of term, they're gone. So that was, you know, another experience where you think, oh yeah, live, this is a piece of cake. And then you go, oh, right, no, so this has changed. So yeah, being nimble, I think, is something that with Alice and Sven's tuition coaching means that you are just the vehicle for the story. You know, it's not about the teller, it's about the story, and about the story for that audience. And I think that's one of the really important things that I took from my experience of doing both the live and the online masterclasses with them.
That has been the same for me as well, that it's about finding the core of the story. What is the true core for you? What is it? What's true about it for you? And then you can do a lot of things with it once you know that, once you're safe in that, in your body, in your heart, and only then a little bit of brain to keep the words going. But that, yeah, it's been, can't say mind-blowing, it has to be something else than mind-blowing, because it's about finding all of that width and the depth, whereas I'm like Berkeley, but I'm
grounding might be
grounding is a word we use a lot, and it is true. I mean, I'm like Bertie and Jan as well, I suppose, that I get very excited about academic nerdy issues, and then I get very wordy about them, and it's all great fun. But then for storytelling, it is about more width, more depth, especially depth.
Yeah. There's a thing that, having spent the last year looking fairly intensively at storytelling, and at the same time still doing academic things, I think there's a great transfer effect going on, that this will definitely have changed how I will give a presentation to an academic audience. And one of the really important things is precisely the trying to say sort of, well, the best way to put it is to get to the truth with less facts. I think.
Ooh, very good.
It's something that I once read somewhere or heard somewhere said this sort of glib thing about the Celtic tradition of storytelling, which is that you shouldn't let truth get in the way of a good story. But I think it's more about that, depending on what your limitations are, what the audience is, how much time you've got where you're telling the story, and what will hold people's attention. You should keep to the true core of the story, but you might not keep all the facts.
Yeah.
And because people's memories are funny things, and they'll react to things or they'll remember things in a weird way. They won't remember the details, the small facts, but they will remember the true core of the thing if you deliver it well. And that's really the only thing that we can hope to communicate, whether we are telling a story about fairies in a hill, or whether we are telling a story about how does the vocal tract work in this sort of voice production.
Yeah, I can agree with that, especially with the memory thing. I've been telling stories for the last over the last year in an elderly home, especially for people with dementia, and I often thought actually about the master classes I did, because I think I learned quite a lot about, because I'm quite a movie person normally. And in the masterclass, I learned just to sit down, focus and tell. And that helped me quite a lot in the elderly home context. And I found it so astonishing, especially rewarding to tell stories to people with really severe dementia, who basically just live inside themselves now. There's not much stuff going on outside. They can't communicate, can't talk. But you learned when you told a story, and especially if it has something to do with the person. So if a person loved to knit and to sew, you could tell a story about the thrifty tailor, for example. Or if somebody comes from the Isle of Skye, you tell a traditional Isle of Skye story. And you do this, and then you realize how you're doing that, and the person wakes up. So they might be even asleep or just like that, and then suddenly they focus on you, like really, and they can actually follow your movements. So then a good check is then to go up when the sun is rising. You can see how they go. So that's amazing. And often, especially like now, we didn't have many visitors, but if you talk to their relatives, for them, sometimes their families are lost, but they're still inside, and stories and the way you tell, the way you deliver can unlock quite a lot of memories, and can bring a soul to life again, and to sing and to actually be out, which is amazing. So yeah, I agree with that.
I'd like to pick up on something that Pertti said earlier about the feedback and the support, and how you said about that when you end up with someone you didn't know or an unexpected person, then you realize that I really want to be useful to this person. Do you have anything to add to that experience of that, working with the feedback from the group and being the person in front of the group? All of that, Franzi and Jan, or?
Yeah, I think that certainly for me in the live context was very tangible, in that I think we perform, especially if we're in a group of people who are storytellers, you know, there is that kind of tendency to right, give my best game, I'm gonna knock this one out of the ballpark. And again, it's the stop, right? You're where? Oh, you're in a village hall. Your character's back is against the wooden slats. You're looking across the room. What can you see? Right, look along that line of people on the opposite side. Now start your story. And you know, you think, oh right, okay, but I want to get to the end of my story because the best bit's at the end. And you go, okay, well, I'll try it. And you realize, again, like that standing still, and that grounding, but yeah, there's no hurry. Let's establish that character and their frustration, or how they're feeling in that moment. It's really important. So I think, you know, in every storyteller, there's a performer of some form, some type, wherever they've come from in their journey. And I think that that fantastic chance to have feedback and people going, actually, you know, it was much better the second time you did it. Or now, you know, why don't you bring that to the next section? I think is gold dust. It's brilliant.
It's also free, because it's like it's amazing, like you go out and you seek everywhere, like this workshop and that workshop, but then when you're actually in one workshop with everybody who has the same interest, everybody shares their own skills, their own knowledge, their own expertise and outlook on things. And yeah, like you said, it's like gold dust. It's amazing, because you actually you kind of paid for one master, but you're getting 20 or 8, like the groups will be here. So you're getting much more than what you bargained for at the end. And often people say things to you which there might be more experience or less experience, but that's something that resonates with you and stays on. And that's something you can't achieve anywhere else.
Yeah,
I remember that Jambi story very well of the village hall and everything, but I remember that version where you were in the village hall and the
Yes.
feeling of that. I remember that very well.
Looking at the man she didn't want.
Looking at the man she didn't
Oh,
want.
what
And
now? All of them. The whole
all of them, yeah. And then the stranger comes in. Oh, I remember that.
Mm.
What, Jan, so what you're saying is that it's a movement from performing a story to becoming the story, embodying the story.
Embodying the story is a good, embodying is the right word. Yeah, being the vessel through which the story is delivered. Yeah, and yeah, I think what am I trying to say? I think the old world that we knew a year and a half ago, you know, I think it needed a shake up. And I think that if we were all to use this opportunity to get quality feedback, quality CPD, different views on our telling, then what a better place the world would be, you know? Because, you know, for me, you know, as an emerging storyteller, then it was all about, oh, well, they've got a really big audience. How do they manage that? Oh, right, okay. Now you become super analytical. Whereas really, it's about why you have chosen the stories you've chosen, who you are delivering them to, and why. And it's much more mindful than that, oh, we're doing a big show, come and see it. You know, it's like Kaylee culture is just going back to its roots of, oh, you're here. You want to come watch a story? Yeah, give me a song. You know, it's like, this is how it should be. And, you know, so many, what I found is looking at job, you know, opportunities. Storyteller is now this kind of media thing. And you go, oh, and then you go, oh, no, you're not interested in stories at all. You know, you just want to know if I can edit a film. I'm not saying they aren't good storytellers, obviously. Storytelling is visual as well as heart to heart, eye to eye, mind to mind.
The three of us are sitting here and nodding all in unison.
Yeah.
Sorry, Perty. I think storytelling has become this buzzword.
Yes.
This media buzzword. And yeah, we can lose sight sometimes of why we're doing it.
Yeah. I've seen some things that are called storytelling. They you know, it's just a rebranding of something that isn't really storytelling. There's a lot of that around in Finland, I think. Sorry, I just seem to see a lot of that in Finland. That sort of advertising is called storytelling rather than advertising.
I think also for us on this sort of intermediate emerging level that we are, I think that's the danger, at least I very much went into that, is that you get the sort of basic skills and you practice them, so you have that kind of technical theory side, if you like, if that Pertti was saying, but then it becomes just about that. We can perform till the cows come home and we're getting the attention and we love it, but you forget about being the vessel of the story, and you kind of become more about the outside things. Whereas for me, the master classes working with Svend and Alice both has been about returning and finding the balance and then weirdly it's generally quieter, but at the same time it's much more powerful and much more engaging, and there's some kind of a weird paradox and definitely some magic in there somewhere.
It's about awareness. You become much more aware of what you're doing, what power you possess when you're doing it right, or when you're doing it in a certain way. It's the grounding aspect we said so many times now. It's just like going down to the roots of our tree, to the core. It's yeah, it just opens up so much more than what you envisaged before, I think.
Those are lovely words. So I'm just going to ask, does anyone feel like they really want to say something, that something has been completely missed out on, an important aspect, an important experience?
I think everybody who's watching this should sign up.
Yep.
That's what I like to hear.
If you're in doubt, if you're interested in storytelling, just give it a go. You know, it's so much fun and everybody can do it. And as Bertie said right at the start, he is surprisingly far along, like after just a little. So that could be you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that amazing advertising storytelling bit there, Francie. That was beautiful. Jan, you have your wise thoughts face on again.
I just have this vision in my head. So if you haven't met Svend and Alice yet, you might not know that they are very tall. and they have very big hearts, but they also have very big hands, and I always feel that I'm safely held in their hands when I'm with them, whether they're telling me a story or whether they're actually sharing their wonderful perspective and knowledge on what I do. So you're in two very large pairs of very safe hands.
How beautifully said. Pertti, is that your wise thoughts face or your I have nothing to add face? I'm not quite sure.
It's my I wonder face. It's like, yeah. I think the being a vessel for what you're delivering is really a really important thing, and it's actually something that if somebody who's listening to this is familiar with playing music, that's what happens with good music playing. That you're there to be for the music to be able to come out. It also tends to be what some composers say about composing, that that the music comes. They don't compose it. The music comes. And I've heard also people who do writing say similar things. And if you aren't familiar with that, it can sound a bit weird. But in effect, it's only about being able to take half a step back from what you're doing. And that's really the awareness bit. That's really what happens in that sort of mind space. And yeah, these workshops, masterclasses, they are really good for teaching that.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I also I'm aware that if you're coming from out with Scotland, wherever you're coming from, and you look at the traditional storytelling culture that exists and that you can tap into, that is amazing. But you can have imposter syndrome. You know, you can go, well, I'm from Merseyside, I'm just from Birkenhead. I mean, well, how can I tell that Selkie story, you know, and embody it? You know, and I think I was in awe and in terror for a long time of feeling or being an imposter. And I think what is wonderful about that duo that Svend and Alice are is that they're also from different places. They take on all sorts of different traditions, and they make you feel that you have something to offer and to give. And I think that is really worthwhile to tap into that.
Alice has taken the Norse myths that were originally Svend-Erik's thing and is now taking them to completely new places. It's quite fun. And you said, Pertti, about composing music. One of the things that Masterclasses has done for me is I now do my own stories, and I call that composing because it's not quite writing, it's they kind of.
Yep.
It sounds like we could go on.
Yep.
I did promise that we can go for. Thank you very much for spending a rainy Sunday morning with me, or Pertti.
Sunny.
Whatever. Same. Okay, good. Thank you very much, and I will see you all soon again. And yeah, thank you, and welcome everyone else to Giant's Heart. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.